This is CBS 11 News Now.
Welcome to News Now, our digital update. I'm Gilma Avalos coming to you live from our Fort Worth studios. Let's get right to weather today. The power starting to come back on after some rough storms early this morning. In Hazlet, strong winds lifted a trampoline. You see it there off the ground onto some power lines. The town's fire chief responded to reports of downed power lines only to find that trampoline tangled in the lines. Oncor is working to restore power in 3 subdivisions that were impacted because of that trampoline. Nearby, Southwest ISD had 4 campuses in the dark this morning. Classes are actually going on with emergency lighting kicking in, but weather really wreaked havoc in some of our communities here this morning. Jeff Ray, I'm joined now by meteorologist Jeff Ray. He's going to tell us what we can expect later on.
Yeah, more rain. This is going to be a day of rain. Several waves of it anticipated here through the course of the day and even into tomorrow as well. So let's start off by taking a look outside. This is a live shot from our studios in Fort Worth looking along I-30. Wet roads, already 1/3 of an inch has fallen, 65 degrees, so much cooler weather. We had a couple days in a row actually over across the weekend where it's been in the 80s or upper 70s, but cooler today because of this rain, which has tallied over 3/4 of an inch in Denton already this morning, with more on the way in both sites. In fact, all of North Texas is going to get a good soaking rain. You see it stretches from Tarrant County, Johnson County, Denton County, and out to the west. It's now engulfed most of Collin County, McKinney as well. That's light rain. We're starting to see some redevelopment, or new development, I should say, over Ellis County and down in Bosque. We're going to have areas really down to our east start to see increased activity as heavy rain now is moving over into Tarrant County. You see it over western Tarrant County. It will be moving over the rest of Tarrant County into Denton. So we have this flash flood watch for the rest of the day and into tomorrow. And what we're concerned about is this after wave and wave of rain over a couple of days, we could have ponding on the roads that will be likely. So please take caution in your drive home or your drive to any errands or to the schools, because there's going to be a lot of water on the roads, I suspect. Low-lying areas could actually be flooded. Remember, only a foot of water, moving water, can move a car. So do not drive into moving water. Do not drive in water there you don't know its depth. You can see how we anticipate over an inch more rain, maybe close to 2 inches more rain in Dallas. I think the heavier rain will end up by the time we get to the end of the 2-day period over Corsicana and Palestine, where maybe as much as 3.5, 4 inches of rain could fall. You can see this is Future Sky forecast, and there's the heavy rain around still this afternoon. Plan on a wet morning and evening commute for the day, because across the evening the rain will still be around and start to slowly move off to the east and start to well up from Waco to Mineola. And that's where the heavy rain will be in the overnight hours. This is at 8 in the morning tomorrow. Now the model's a little bit more bullish on the idea we might have the heavy rain over as we get into most parts of Wednesday, though I think from Hillsborough to Corsicana, Athens, still prone for some flooding through the first half of the day. And as far as the risk of severe weather, we've been talking about this. It's only a marginal risk. Isolated severe weather, it would probably be in the form of small hail and some gusty winds along with the particular cells. We'll keep an eye to it. I think the better risk will be in our southeast corner, centered in on Anderson, Henderson counties, and not the metro area. 7-day forecast, couple of days in a row with 60s a day and a 60% chance of rain tomorrow. And then opening day on Thursday. Yes. And here's the good news, Gilma, all this leaves. We start to dry out. We get some sunshine for the afternoon game Friday, good weather. Great. And temperatures into the upper 70s on Saturday on a breezy day. A windy day anticipated on Sunday as a front comes through, but before it comes through in the afternoon, we'll still get into the 80s. This is some really cold air behind it, and Jeff Jamison and I were looking at the models just before he left after his morning shift, and they're suggesting a freeze.
On Easter?
In April. So that Monday and Tuesday in the morning, temperatures might get to freezing, and we're just like, this is what we're doing. Really?
We're really riding that wave because we enjoyed what seemed like summer-like temperatures over the weekend, and then today a little cooler, the rain's back, then it looks like we get a couple of days of peace, and then we're talking about a freeze at the beginning of April. And Texas weather for you.
And when we look at the trending of the last decade, we've had warmer and warmer springs, right? And they've started earlier and earlier. And in the last 2 years, we had the earliest last freeze ever, January 8th. This year, we had the 8th earliest one. And now we're suddenly talking about something that hasn't happened in 15 years, a freeze in April.
Okay.
So we'll watch this, and this is still some time away, and it's so unusual, so out of the realm of normal of weather lately, and it's just an unusually spot of cold air coming in, that maybe it won't be as bad by the time it gets here. But let me say, it's on our radar.
I know you'll continue to keep an eye on that, Jeff.
We'll be keeping doing this. Like, what? How cold?
No, and I know a lot of our viewers joining us are talking, well, you know the saying, March comes in.
Comes in like a
Yep.
And it did. We had some great weather in the early March, and now we got a nice good rain. Cedric Johnson is sitting there freezing April. Yeah, if Cedric might be a gardener like me, and he's just going, no. I mean, right now, the last freeze we had was February 8th, which is incredibly early to start your growing season. So it would be really a shocker, but we'll wait to see here.
All right, Jeff, we're going to bring you in on another story in just a little bit. We just want to share a couple other headlines here with everybody joining us. The rain, as you can imagine, causing a change for the Texas Rangers. Those are the lights off at the stadium, which you really can't see. It's raining. The team's spring training finale against the Cincinnati Reds, scheduled for this afternoon, has been canceled as a result. And fans who have tickets for the spring training game can exchange them for any Rangers home game this season, except for opening day on Thursday, of course. Now, we're learning disturbing details about the leader of a secretive group in upstate New York who's accused of turning female followers into brainwashed sex slaves. Keith Rainier is the co-founder of a self-described self-help group called NXIVM, and the complaint, many pages long, alleges the women in this group were expected to recruit other women in a type of pyramid scheme. They were branded with his initials even. They were threatened with the release of highly personal information, among other threats, allegedly, and he was arrested in Mexico. He's now in North Texas. He's set to appear in federal court in Fort Worth this afternoon on sex trafficking charges. And our Dan Haggerty is on the story for us. Look for his report starting at 4 p.m. when you can join me and Ken Molestina at 4. Also, Mark Zuckerberg, we're learning, has decided to testify before Congress. About an hour ago, CNN Money reports the Facebook founder will appear before Congress in a matter of weeks, following pressure from lawmakers. Just recently, the FTC announced an investigation into the company's privacy practices. It follows allegations a Trump-affiliated political consulting firm got data inappropriately from millions of Facebook users. And there's a Senate committee meeting about data privacy, and that's set for April 10th. Okay, so here's an interesting story that I'm sure is going to have a lot of people talking. Jeff Ray and I were talking about it earlier. A school district near Denver is switching to a 4-day school week. How does that sound? Just 4 days of school. The district saying the schedule serves as an enticement to teachers and staff. A 4-day school week instead of 5 days. Plus, the district hasn't been able to compete salary-wise with neighboring school districts. So this is something that they can offer to teachers.
Not money, but time. Time,
which we know is so valuable. Now, the schedule is going to be Tuesday through Friday. No school on Monday.
No school on Monday.
And elementary school students would start at 7:50. Their classes would go until 3:30. Middle and high school students, they'd start at 8:30. Classes would go to 4:30. So supporters say a win-win for teachers. You and I were talking, teachers work at least 50 hours a week on their own time.
Exactly.
So this is a big incentive. But parents are wondering what, Jeffrey?
Well, what about that extra day?
Right.
Right? So, I think in my circumstance, okay, first, the good news, you're keeping them longer in the school, so no latchkey kids, right? They're not coming home for a couple hours waiting for their parents to show up from work. But now you got a full day. Right, so they're doing something. They had to do something, right? They had to offer something.
So many parents were wondering that very thing.
Right.
This is great for teachers, but what do we do about Monday? So my understanding is the school district is actually offering a solution. They're offering childcare for $30 on that day, and it seems like on an extended class schedule. So we know that teachers are so valuable. We know they're notoriously underpaid, and this seems like an enticing solution for those teachers. But again, there are a lot of concerns about Monday.
Well, it just shows you the pushback you always get when you change just about anything that is inside the norm, right? And the idea of a 4-day work week, I'm sure we'll get a lot of criticism from people who, I work 5 days,
Right.
And I would just say, you need to go teach and see what that's like, because that is something you have to really be wanting to do.
Passionate about.
There's not a lot of other incentives to do it. It's not, you got long days, you got a lot of pushback, and you're not spectacularly well paid. It's just something you do because you love it.
And again, for those of you joining us, this is in Denver, not here in North Texas,
yeah,
but obviously making headlines and possibly starting conversations across the nation. Jeff, what do you think your kids would say to the idea of 4-day?
I think anytime you say, how about one less day of school, they go, yeah. There's in the school district outside of Nashville in Wilson County, they went to year-round school. And that was the same kind of, that really changed the chess pieces on the board for a lot of parents on how they dealt with the summer and these longer breaks now that they were having. But I would say in the big picture, as they acclimated to it, it has worked. But, I'm sure they still...
Prevent that summer slide, to keep kids
academically,
engaged.
they're able to keep students more on top of,
math and science, which especially math tends to erode quickly unless you're, drilling. So there are tremendous advantages. But saying that, I'm sure they still debate it in Wilson County, if that was the thing to do. So. Somebody said the only problem with a 4-day week is you're out shopping and spending more money. Oh, great. It's so true. Mine would love the idea of 4 days of school. I think a lot of kids are celebrating in that Denver school district right now. I think how much you like it when it's like Memorial Day or Labor Day and you get that 3-day weekend, how big that is. Oh, I got 3 days off. So, I mean, imagine that every week. It'd be so European. I will tell you, though, Jeff, putting in my 2 cents, as a kid, I was involved in a lot of AP classes, a lot of extracurriculars, and it was tough to get all that homework completed. I'm sure that for a lot of kids, Monday will be catching up on assignments, on reading, so it's not necessarily going to be spent just goofing around. For some kids, not all kids. Yeah, and if they have tutors at the school, you go in and that's your catch-up day, not only for the teachers, for the students as well. So I'm anxious to see if they do it and how it works out, and maybe that becomes the new model. So I know you've got a lot you're working on, Jeff. We're going to be following the weather all day. Scott Padgett will be in here shortly, and I imagine through the night we'll be watching, keeping you abreast of the situation. It is a big flooding concern, not necessarily a severe weather concern. Okay. So we're going to be watching. We're under flash flood watch. We are expecting in some areas maybe 2 to 3 more inches of rain. Wow. So we're going to be working on this. We're also working on our 4 o'clock newscast, and we'll see you here, right back here on Facebook Live at 3 o'clock. Thank you for watching CBS 11, The Ones for Texas.